So Representative Tony Tinderholt went to Mike Alcott's campaign kickoff. And there is this kind of dumb rule that a bunch of the rhinos in Austin put into the Republican caucus bylaws where they said you are not allowed to engage in primaries against your colleagues. Now understand this. You are allowed to lie to your colleagues on the floor. You're allowed to cheat your colleagues. You're allowed to team up with Democrats to kill your colleagues' bills. You're allowed to team up with Democrats to pass their bills. You can do all that and stay in the Republican caucus. You can vote to impeach your own Republican officials, okay, with baseless claims that you have no evidence of. You're still in the Republican caucus. But if you dare use your First Amendment rights to actually talk to Republican voters and tell them, I personally would not vote for that Republican, I would vote for this Republican, you can get kicked out of the caucus. This is the Incumbent Protection Program. And Representative Tony Tinderholt went to Mike Alcott's kickoff, which was attended by almost 500 people. It was like 450 something people. It was massive. Okay. There were pictures and video clips that were posted to this thing. It was, I have not seen another state representative campaign kickoff that was this size. Okay. Dade Phelan's was like maybe half of this, and half of them were lobbyists. I was looking at the pictures that Dade Phelan posted from his kickoff, and I'm like, that guy's a lobbyist. That guy's a lobbyist. That guy lives in Austin. That guy lives in Austin. That guy lives in Austin. That guy's some head of association. He lives in Dallas. Basically, all these people who are just trying to cozy up to the speaker, fly in, write it off as a business expense, and show up at his kickoff. That's the only reason he had actual people attending. So Tony Tinderholt goes to Mike Alcott's kickoff and has a couple words to share. Let's go to this clip.
I had to change my schedule when I found out that Alan wasn't going to be here. When they asked me to come, I said absolutely. And there's several reasons that I decided to come. Number one is that Mike very early on supported me before anybody else. You remember we had that dinner at the Mexican restaurant, you, me, Matt Rinaldi, and we were deciding to run for office. And he supported us because he believed in limited government. He believed in you guys keeping the majority of your money in your pocket and that government excess taxation is a fact. He believed in all of the same principles that all of us in this room believe. And so it made it real easy for me to come here today to support Mike. Now, what you don't know is that there's this silly rule in the Republican House caucus that's called the Incumbent Protection Program. How many of you have heard of that? Or we're not supposed to endorse against incumbents. So I'm not supposed to endorse against Mr. Glenn Rogers. But let me tell you, I am confident that this man right here will come and fight alongside me. And let me tell you, fighting, it ain't easy, but it's right. It's the hard right over the easy wrong. The easy wrong is to go to Austin and do what you're told. And that is exactly what Mr. Rogers does. He does what he's told. Let me give you a couple of examples. I did an amendment to try to give you an additional $8 billion in tax relief. Would you have wanted that? You deserved it because we had over $32 billion that were overcollected. You deserved that $8 billion, and he voted no on my amendment. That's pretty powerful, right? He voted no on school choice. How many in this room, just by a raise of hands, it's a priority. How many people in this room would like to see some level of school choice for children? How many people in this room think that the Ken Paxton impeachment was an absolute sham and a theft of debt? I was one of the people that spoke out against that. And whether you believe that he's done something wrong or not, that's not what mattered at that time. What mattered was the process. It was despicable, disgusting, and the Texas House should be ashamed of themselves. And that's why I wrote the House resolution to apologize to Ken Paxton. Guess what? It didn't move. They didn't want to apologize. But Glenn Rogers voted to impeach Ken Paxton. There were more Democrats than Republicans that voted to impeach the most effective attorney general in the state's history. That's what this person is. And so I will tell you, I'm supposed to be pretty brief. I'll tell you that Mike's endorsed by Governor Greg Abbott, by Ted Cruz, whose father's here. Good to see you again, sir. Attorney General Paxton, Sid Miller. That's a great group of people. Parker County Commissioner Greg Conley, and State Representative Tony Tinderholt. The incumbent protection program is disgusting, despicable. It keeps horrible members in the Texas House that do what they're told. I want to fight with people that are willing to go to Austin and fight for you, and Michael do it, and I endorse you, and I don't care about this stupid rule. Thank you.
I'm grateful that Tony Tinderholt is willing to speak truth to power and has been willing to stand up last session and push back against many of the just kind of madness, much of the madness, I would say, in Austin. He's been willing to push back against all of the antics and games that liberal Austin swamp creatures play. And now he's going in to communities that are really close to his saying, hey, we do need something different, and we are going to need it if we're going to stop the bottleneck that is the Texas House of Representatives.